The 9/11 Court of Public Opinion will now commence. We the people will not be silenced. Interviews containing forensic analysis from credentialed experts included with roundtable discussions have information of importance to consider. It has been well over 20 years since the horrific 9/11 terror attacks on American soil that killed multiple thousands. Yet the Khalid Sheikh Mohammed trial remains stalled in the pre-trial phase. The CVINE 9/11 Court of Public Opinion will scrutinize the investigations and forensic analysis in roundtable discussions over the coming months.
Welcome to the CVINE Court of Public Opinion for 9/11. This is Linda Forsyth, and we are having a Zoom meeting with some of our members to be able to discuss a few things about what has been going on recently. Now, some of these things that we are going to be discussing, you may be aware of, but keep in mind there are a lot of people here that are new, so please bear with us as we go through things. But there are some new things that are very, very important. Now, today is January 18th, 2023, and we are in the process of being rated, that's RATED, rated again. This is the fourth year in a row by NewsGuard. And just like every single year that we have gone through this before, I have told them explicitly, because they said it's important that we have transparency. I agree. And so what I told them before and what we're doing again this year, we are going to make it very transparent, every single move that NewsGuard makes to go through their rating process of websites. And we have everything on record. We have everything documented. And so we want you, we the people, to also be aware what places like NewsGuard, what they go through in their rating process. And so you will be fully educated on exactly how it works. Okay, now one of the things that happened is 3 years ago, and this is just a reminder, when we went through the rating process, and I'm not going to go over everything that happened then, we had the names of some of our volunteers up in the About Us section of the website, as was requested by NewsGuard. Now, these individuals were, it's kind of like a moving, it's constantly going round and round. There's nobody is hired. Nobody is a quote unquote editor. Nobody is receiving any kind of pay. People come in temporarily and they just help us either post articles on the website. They help with research, doing the fact checking, frankly, of the different articles. This is what we used to do before. Because at that time, there was so much craziness that people just didn't know what to believe. And things at that time appeared to be very one-sided on exactly what news was getting out there. And anybody who even questioned or whatever, what was going on, they were immediately labeled as misinformation. It was even questioning that was a problem. So it just got to be chaos, pandemonium, craziness. And so that's why CVINE came around. At that time, what we were doing is we had licensed investigators, we had attorneys, we have all sorts of various different people that would help us with the researching and the investigations. And we would post articles from other news agencies that came across and were what we found to be factual through our investigations. That's what we did. We very rarely put our own stuff out there. And then we started in 2019 to start going to Fort Meade to be able to watch the GTMO proceedings that were streamed live via CCTV into a special room in Fort Meade. And so a lot of volunteers there, that's where we started really reporting. And for the most part, that is where our original content came from us, because we were there. And plus some other places that we have gone to and actually covered in the news. Anyway, just bringing you up to speed. What happened in the very first year, which was, I believe it was in 2020, just before the elections. I believe it was 1 month before the elections. And it's the same time each year. So it started in November this year also. But anyway, in November of 2020, they requested we put names of editors and everything up there so they can see who was, posting on the site. Well, at that time, we didn't realize what was going on, but we have since found out through multiple sources that what NewsGuard decides in their ratings, they put it out everywhere, to big tech, to social media. Sometimes we found through other places that have gone through something much worse than us, even your vendors, what you use as a payment gateway, etc. If they find you in what they state is misrepresentation and or untrue news, they dock it like that, and they make certain that you get the repercussions because of them getting all this information out everywhere, which is why now there's a number of lawsuits going on. What happened in November of 2020, we had a very large group, some of you may have remembered this, on social media, on Facebook actually, quite a large group, very active, and it was commentary and opinion. It was discussion that people were asking questions, and it was very lively. They took every single one of those names that we had posted as helping us to post articles, and many of them were also administrators on Facebook and so on the different groups that we had. And they took down not only my personal page, but every single group except one group, which was the Patriot Prayer Brigade. It was interesting. And every single personal page of other individuals that were helping us admin and or moderate the Facebook website. And so with that being said, we thought, well, why would they do that? Because some of those people weren't even posting on social media. They weren't even posting on the website. Why would they just carte blanche do all these names? I mean, one of them was one of our volunteer attorneys. He never posted on there. He was one of them that helped us set up the charitable trust. And so he was in there as an admin in case he needed to answer some questions. Another one was a graphic designer, never posted. But yet his page was taken down. And a number of other people that we used for discussions and fact checking that didn't post at all. They took down everyone and every single name that was on this website. And a lot of these people had their personal pages since 2008? A lot of years, the personal pages. We did write a note to Facebook at the time, a legal note, and we explained everything that was going on. And the attorney that did it, he attributed to what illegalities. Yeah, I can't say it, sorry, was going on. And it was sent to them, and of course, they never responded. Well, it's not over. Okay, folks, I'm going to get to exactly what NewsGuard is requesting this time. And we request that you please like this page, and we're going to be coming back, to do more Seavine 9/11 Court of Public Opinion. And this does have to do with 9/11. Okay, I just want to point out, first of all, that if you want to find out anything on what's going on in GTMO through the Office of Military Commissions, I'm showing you the website here. Those of you that can't see it very well, I will put it in the taskbar, but it is MC for military commissions .mil/home.aspx. That's mc.mil/home.aspx. And it has everything here that you would want to know about GTMO, including the calendar, the actual cases that are involved, legal resources, what goes on with media, victims and family members. It has anything and everything that you would want to know about GTMO. It even has a layout of all the people that are being tried and so on. So I wanted you to see that. Now, all right, so I'm resuming the recording here because I wanted to get the email up from Valerie Pavlonis. I believe that's how she pronounces her name. And she is the NewsGuard technician that is working with us this year. The last 3 years, it was Annika Schlachka. And so they found somebody new. All right, so this is the email with my response that includes her questions. Starting out from me, be aware to her, be aware some of your questions were already answered in previous correspondence with your colleague Annika Schlachka in the last years. I will reference those responses where appropriate with an email date or provide a copy and paste for your reference. Also, FYI, for the purposes of transparency over the last 3 years, I always published our dialogue and discussions between myself and NewsGuard for our members. I intend to do the same this year. In order to organize each answer, I have chosen to respond directly underneath each of your questions below. Okay, so it's on record here that they were and are aware. All right, here is the beginning of her email to me. Hi, Miss Forsyth. I hope you are doing well. I apologize for my late response, etc., etc. Regarding cvine.com, yes, I did finish looking at the newer version of your site, and I have some questions about some parts of it. My questions are included below. Side note here. For those of you that are not aware, we have decided to stop being an echo chamber of news from all these other websites. We, in the beginning, it was necessary when we started, but that is not the case anymore. I think people are pretty much understanding and usually can figure out what is going on. So what we're doing is we are sticking with 9/11, which is why this show is the CVine 9/11 Court of Public Opinion. Everything 9/11 and GTMO. Okay, side note over. Her first question is, I see that c-vine.com now states on its about page that CVine is formed as an irrevocable charitable trust, CVine International Foundation Charitable Trust, that is run by volunteer trustees and a protector of the trust. However, I was unable to find in the IRS nonprofit system. Should I be looking elsewhere for a record of the trust? Also, is the site still affiliated with the private company CVine International? Okay, side note here. We specifically, purposely worked with a number of attorneys in setting CVine up as a charitable trust so that it was not a business or it is not even a nonprofit organization. The URL of CVine and all of the intellectual property is inside of the charitable trust. Okay, we purposely did it that way. Now, the state of California wants you to have either a 501c3, a nonprofit organization, or an LLC or whatever, that when you make money through a charitable trust, that you take that money and you donate it over to these other organizations. Well, through speaking with the attorneys, number one, we are not monetized. We have very little coming in, some through memberships and not a whole lot of memberships. And that we are allowed to do. We have a bank account that our trustees and everything handle that takes care of our expenses for the trust, which is perfectly legal to do. And I'll be explaining that in just a minute. This is how we are able to operate as a nonprofit, and that will be explained. But every single year they are asking me this because it's beyond the norm. Beyond the norm. We're doing everything legally. What we have not done is we did create an LLC with a similar name, with the possibility in the future, if money was made, funds were made, we had an LLC set up for other purposes. But not enough has come in. In fact, it has gotten worse since we first started. So any and all funds that come in is just for the running of the charitable trust. Okay. So anyway, this is why she is asking again, and it happens every year. And every year we give them the information, and they have not rebuted it. What's the word? They haven't.
Refuted.
Thank you. Thank you, Aunt B. They haven't refuted it yet. So, answer to number one. The Seavine website has always been placed inside the charitable trust. That has never changed. The private LLC with a similar name has never had a bank account attached to it because of minimal amounts of revenue or donations coming into the charitable trust. I explained this to your colleague, Annika, in the answer to her similar questions, and also how the charitable trust legally can be a nonprofit in an email on 10/28/21. The Seavine website is not a business. In addition, I sent her the EIN number belonging to the charitable trust, which does have a trust account. Our team of volunteer attorneys provided the legal citations for her reference on how it all works. Following is the copy and paste that was sent in response. And this was a copy of what was before. Now, this is important that I'm bringing this up to you. I don't know why they are asking questions over and over again without doing due diligence. Whenever they come to do their research, I find that interesting, or they're trying to trip you up, whatever the case is. So anyway, copy of the original response. Yes, it is ongoing, but there is more to it since last year. Last year, I forwarded to you the EIN number of the Irrevocable Charitable Trust Foundation and the logistics. The bank account was set up to be able to handle the expenses of the trust. Very little money was coming in then, and even less now. Side note, ever since what happened in November of 2020. What was mentioned earlier on how our Facebook group was taken down right after our investigation rating from NewsGuard. Okay, the store from the website was removed because of inactivity. Excuse me. The purpose of Seavine is to vet and distribute the news from other sources and produce some of our own. We are minimally monetized. What does come in goes directly into the trust for its maintenance, upkeep, and pay invoices for such, plus the occasional field trip to cover certain news events like the KSM et al. 9/11 military tribunals. Donations that do come in are tax deductible as follows. Deductions of contributions to IRC 501c3 organizations and other exempt organizations. Seavine is an other exempt organization. I have sent you the PDF document titled Email Number 2 explaining this. In addition, here is a snippet of another part explaining in more detail. Qualified organizations. Now, I'm only going to read to you the bolded part of it that's only applicable to this. Qualified organizations. You may deduct a charitable contribution made to or for the use of any of the following organizations that otherwise are qualified under Section 170C of the Internal Revenue Code. Number 1, a state or United States possession or political subdivision thereof, or United States or the District of Columbia, if made exclusively for public purposes. Number 2, a community chest, corporation, trust, fund, or foundation organized or created in the United States or its possessions or under the laws of the United States, any state, the District of Columbia, or any possession of the United States, and organized and operated exclusively for charitable, religious, educational, scientific, or literary purposes, or for the prevention of cruelty to children or animals. Okay, so those of you that have been wondering how to set up a trust for news and this type of thing, where pretty much it's very difficult to touch you. Okay, so anyway, going down to the next question, or I followed up the final answer. Please review the original emails and dialogue sent to you if you require additional information. I sent them all of this multiple times before. Her next question is, why did Seavine decide to refocus its content on 9/11? Okay, I'm going to stop there a minute. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that just a little bit strange? Why would they care if we decided to refocus its content when their purpose is to rate the website of its content? Why would they care what our content is unless it is inaccurate? In which case they do a rating. So, but anyway, whatever. I had no problem with answering it. Seavine response. The very next day, we decided to refocus to 9/11 was decided when the KSM et al. Judge in GTMO announced the decision to negotiate a plea deal for the pre-trials and closed sessions. This is the 9/11 trials, by the way, without transparency. These negotiations will potentially go on for years, considering they still need to replace the learned defense attorney Cheryl Borman. Also, are you aware the KSM et al. 9/11 proceedings are still in pretrial phase after 21 years? It has never made it to tribunal, even though a date was set by presiding Judge Shane Cohen at the time for January 11th, 2021. The closed classified sessions do not allow any coverage from reporters, including Carol Rosenberg from the New York Times, who has been covering these for the last 20 years. She isn't happy either. Seavine has sent volunteers, which usually included myself, to Fort Meade since January 2019 in order to watch via CCTV all of the KSM et al. Proceedings from GTMO and report on them unofficially as citizen journalists. The OMC, Office of Military Commissions, is very aware of who we are. I continue to keep in touch on an almost weekly basis with the officer in charge of media at the OMC to be kept up to speed on all open source updates and court transcripts. We therefore have since created a discussion platform and roundtable called the Seavine 9/11 Court of Public Opinion. Please note new category on the website. There have been way too many unanswered questions that continue to go unaddressed, even though the public or 9/11 organizations have asked repeatedly. In fact, there are a large number of lawsuits against NIST for this very reason because of their lack of response. The Seavine platform obviously is not a court of law, and our discussions won't make any difference in the scheme of things, but it will raise awareness and provide an outlet for opinion. Various points of view are discussed, credentialed individuals and verified eyewitnesses interviewed, forensic analysis and studies are reviewed from accredited universities, educated opinions are listened to, KSM et al. Open source transcripts provided for fact reference, GTMO updates provided. In short, our members agreed this is what they would like to do. Ultimately, we are holding roundtable discussions and would love a NIST representative to become involved. NIST is National Institute of Statistics and Technology. Until that time, we discussed the NIST official report with points of view, commentary, and opinion. Also included are definitive open source reports from GTMO, court transcripts, and statements from OMC. Okay, her next question. In a previous review, we found that Seavine disclosed its editors on its About page, thereby passing our criteria for disclosing who's in charge of content. However, the new About Us page doesn't seem to show editors. Is there somewhere else I should be looking, or have editors been removed completely? Seavine response. Maybe you could offer a suggestion here, because on further review, when we revamped the website, the word we were asked to use is not accurate. The word editors implies an official paid position. There have never been any. No one has ever been paid. There is, although, a revolving door of volunteers who spell check or help with layout. Author attribution of original content is always provided. If someone conducts an interview, that name is also provided. Volunteers who do not do anything more than post an article, provide sweat equity, or spell check, those are not technically editors, and that is who was up there before. It is similar to what our volunteers do in social media groups. No one owns Seavine, and it is run by we the people. That was my response. Number 4, question. I also found that several articles do not name an author and instead are attributed to volunteer journalists or no one. Can you comment on why Seavine.com does not seem to always disclose information about content creators? See answer to number 3. Historically, Seavine started out with volunteer licensed investigators, et cetera, et cetera. You know, you can read this, but it pretty much is repeating what I said before. Bottom line is, down at the last sentence, we no longer do that, hence our new 9/11 roundtable focus and GTMO updates. Number 5, question. I see that some of the articles we at NewsGuard, and this is when she actually gets down to the nitty gritty, have noted in the past and have been taken down. Still, I found some newer articles on c-fine.com that I wanted to ask you about. Excuse me. For example, I need to stop there a minute. She did ask me about a number of articles in the past having to do, interestingly enough, with J6. And it was written by somebody else. And my response at that time was, it was written by somebody else. We did not do a commentary. It was put up there as an article of interest. And then also she asked quite a few questions about the 9/11 articles and GTMO articles that we had up there. And I didn't even get a chance to respond back. And she wrote back right after that, I'm taking those off the table, and I will get back to you about the new questions. So the new questions, the questions she had before about what we had about 9/11 and GTMO were removed for some reason. And I have no idea why. So now this is her new questions. For example, a November 2022 article was titled Commentary. 9/11 Saudi Arabian hijacker Hani Hanjour piloted American Airlines 77 into the Pentagon, but was denied rental of a single-engine Cessna 1 month before because of flight incompetence. And it was stated, I personally find it silly, albeit sad, that we have to continually play this childish game wherein we pretend that the official 9/11 narrative is accurate when we all know that it is grossly flawed and that 9/11 was an inside job in which the U.S. government was complicit. It then proceeded to note reported issues with one of the hijackers' flying abilities. However, multiple reports have indicated that 9/11 was perpetrated by Al-Qaeda, and though it's true that some people overseeing Hanjour's flight training excuse me, were concerned about his abilities, there is still no evidence that 9/11 was a government plot. Can you comment on this article? Okay. Seavine response. As noted in your question, the first word in the title is commentary, which is in reference to an email that was widely distributed by the CEO of 911pilots.org to an array of worldwide government leaders, agencies, and learned 9/11 individuals. His email was published on our website with permission and used for our roundtable discussion and commentary for opinions. The attributed statement you ask about was made by the email author. Any arguments you may have, you will need to be addressed by him. Did you even watch the video? Okay, so that I found was interesting. Next question. She's making a point about a January 2023 article on Seavine also states researcher Kevin Ryan. Richard then took, this is his statement, Richard then took a deep dive into the third World Trade Center high-rise collapse on 9/11 Building 7. Hint, this happens after witnesses hear explosions. Mind you, no plane hit the building, yet it descends straight down symmetrically at free fall acceleration into its own footprint in the exact manner of a classic controlled demolition. Official U.S. agencies find the evidence of incendiary thermite, but this information is then repressed from public awareness, unquote. She goes on to state, it's true that no plane hit Building 7, but the reports indicate that Building 7 did fall as a result of fire. It's true that no plane, continuing forward, it's true that no plane hit Building 7. But reports indicate that Building 7 did fall as a result of fire, and a National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST investigation found it was unlikely that the required amounts of thermite could have been brought into the building without arousing suspicion. Can you comment on this article? Okay, Seavine response. Again, this is a roundtable discussion, opinion, and dialogue. Seavine is aware of the NIST report. That is precisely what we were discussing. We interviewed a representative of AE911truth.org who was providing the forensic analysis and sanctioned study from Professor Leroy Halsey and his team from the accredited University of Alaska, Fairbanks. 3,600 verified credentialed architects and engineers have also signed a petition because of vehement disagreement of the NIST report and agree with Professor Halsey's analysis. Valerie, do you disagree that our U.S. Constitution allows us to question the government, its agencies, and reports, have discussions or debate, and express our public opinions publicly? I'm just curious on NewsGuard's stand. So I'm wondering, and I do want an answer from her. Does she disagree that our U.S. Constitution allows us to question the government, its agencies, and reports, have discussions, debate, and express our opinions publicly? I'm just curious on NewsGuard's stand. Okay, so then she goes on to her next question. I'm about ready to wrap this up here. We also asked you previously about a 2020 article. She goes back how many years regarding Kamala Harris's citizenship. I'm not sure what article that was, but I found a similar article titled Why It Should Matter That Kamala Harris is Not a Natural Born Citizen. That stated, what we see is that when there is an obvious case of ineligibility and the media's chosen candidate is a Democrat, such as Barack Obama, father was a British subject and a Kenyan national on a student visa and was never naturalized citizen, or Kamala Harris's mother and father, both born abroad, one naturalized citizen at the time of birth. The media freaked out, attack, and smear Republicans. Instead of acknowledging they are not natural-born citizens or seeking to resolve the issue in a court of law, they chose to circumvent the U.S. Constitution, unquote. You commented, this is Valerie again, you commented before on the Kamala Harris issue, but I wanted to ask you about this article specifically, which mentions both Harris and Obama. Both were born in the United States, Harris in Oakland, California, and Obama in Hawaii. And anyone born in the U.S. is considered a natural-born citizen. Can you comment on this article? Seavine response, I will gladly remove this report that was from another outside source, but posted at the time on our website as an article of interest. We provided no commentary. As mentioned at the beginning, our focus is on all things 9/11, and we are continuing to revamp the website, etc., etc. Okay, so I am going to pause it again. Okay. That was a little longer than I intended, but I think it's important that you be aware of exactly questions that are asked, what is happening. And I'm just going to lay this here at your feet so you can have somewhat of an understanding of exactly what is going on. I do request that you please go ahead and like this page, become a subscriber if you are not already, become a member of our website at c-vine.com, c-vine.com. And if you would like to volunteer and help us, we certainly could use the assistance. We are continuing to move forward. We're doing this for we the people, and we the people have been incredible in stepping up and working together with this. And it is walking our way through these obstacles that are happening, which is exactly what we need to do. There is going to be a part 2 to this video, and it's extremely important. We're going to be talking about the lawsuits that are going on to places like NewsGuard. People are really, really stepping up. Thank God. They're stepping up. Before, not everyone had the money to be able to do lawsuits. Well, they got some pretty big people that are coming after them now. And also, who are they not going after? The individuals, the ones putting out blatant fake news. And I'm not talking about your typical, mainstream media. There are also some conservatives that are putting out some blatant fake news. But yet places like the Babylon Bee, that is an obvious satire site, or Gateway Pundit, or all of these others are being completely honed in on, that are doing an excellent, outstanding job. Why are they cherry picking? And we're going to show you the answers on our next show. Thank you very much for showing up, everybody. And the next show should be within the next day or two. Night, everybody.